Welcome back to What Would It Cost? Today we're talking about the market outlook for the real estate market with our special guest, Laura Campagni.
Hi, everybody. I'm happy to be here.
Happy to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for coming out.
Today's episode is brought to you by 2911. They're in King City, and the gentleman who owns it, his name's Dominic. He's awesome. He understands the fashion industry inside and out. They got me fitted today from head to toe, and they got exclusive drops from Europe that you can't find anywhere else in the city, only there. They do streetwear and they do formal wear, men's and women, and they got an awesome espresso, so make sure to hit him up when you go there, and he always has fun hosting people.
What is it going to cost?
How much? Hi, my name's Nicholas Regina.
My name's Michael Sakuro.
And you're listening to
What Would It Cost?
Is that good?
All right, so tell us a bit about yourself and how you got into the real estate market.
So this is my second career. So I had a career comeback, and my first career was at IBM. Actually, I was studying to be a lawyer, and then I was made a lucrative job offer from IBM, and one that I couldn't refuse.
Yeah.
And you know what? It worked out really well for me, and I was in a job every 6 months. So I really got a good understanding of an aerial view of the business and how to run a business, but like really high-end corporate businesses. And so therefore, I spent a lot of time traveling. And when I became a VP global and I had direct reports worldwide, I had at the time 2 children. So it was not a really good lifestyle for a mother and wife who wanted to raise a family. So I decided to retire early. And it was a really tough decision because I was doing really, really well, based in New York and like lavishly flying around the world, and my kids would come, awesome. Right?
Yeah.
So it was a challenging time when it's time for them to go to school. Yeah. So I made the difficult decision to stay home. And I think what helped me make that decision was my mother passed away when I was 8. So I just didn't want to be that absentee mom, because I saw a lot of senior executive women, and there weren't a few in the technology industry. It's very male dominated, especially if you want to be at the very high levels. And I was the chair. My last role was the chairperson of the Global Marketing and Sales Board. So there was a VP globally from every geography that sat on that board, and I was a chairperson. So it was a very demanding role. So when I stayed home, a lot of people thought, are you sure? Are you making the right decision? And I felt confident that I made this decision and I wasn't going to look back.
Right.
And I thought I was going to be like Martha Stewart. Like she was like my role model. But it's not like that when you stay home. So don't get any ideas. It's actually really, really busy when you stay home. Expectations are higher. And then, my kids got older, and I thought, you know what? It's time for me to go back into the workforce. How can I leverage my marketing, my sales, my ability to create a business from scratch? How can I do that? And I thought that real estate would be the best suited for me. And when I started real estate, believe it or not, I started and I basically didn't touch any assets, didn't touch any money in the bank. I started like with the biggest challenge. It was $0. So it's a very tough thing to have a second career come back at my age when I had my children. They were, they're grown, they're in their 20s. And so, yeah, that's basically how it all started. And I felt like it was a really good fit for me. And I think the objective for me is if you have the mindset that you are doing what you're doing because you're passionate and you really, really want to help people, put them in a position that is positive, and you're basically harnessing all your knowledge and power and skill set to do that, then you're in the right place. And for me, as soon as I had my first sale, and I remember it was my friend, she says, you can sell my condo. And I said, okay, great. And I got my first paycheck, and I bought a cell phone, and I bought a new office, and it just kind of like started from there.
Nice.
So I'm really, really happy I did that, and I've never looked back.
Awesome.
That's
and
awesome.
Congratulations with the second career comeback, you kicking as much butt as you did the first time around.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
Put it right there.
Thank you. Sometimes I don't know myself. Like I think it's consistency and just sheer will.
Yeah.
Like, when you fall like 20 million times, you got to keep getting up 20 million times.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And someone's standing on your back to keep you down, then you got to like get some help. Like find somebody that is part of your positive sphere of network to help raise you. Because nothing's ever perfect. Sometimes, people think, oh, you have it so easy. What? You don't really see what's happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not easy.
Exactly.
Real estate, you have to have like that bulletproof vest that you wear, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and which leads us into our next question. How do you feel with all the young talent coming into the real estate market. And now that it's kind of trending in pop culture with all these TV shows like Selling Sunset and other, you know, shows that are taking prime time on the regular and mainstream stations, and that bringing an influx of the millennials and the younger generations now gravitating towards your industry. How does that look for you? How do you feel about that new climate, and what are the challenges that you know, come up on an ongoing basis, and the hurdles that you got to get over and to stay with it and to keep kicking butt like you're doing?
Wow, that's a really good question, and I never really I never really thought about it, to be honest with you. But I think that the generation today is smarter. I really mean that, because they get it. They get it that real estate is so important, and they get it at the age of like 16. So the fact that they're in the industry trying to think of ways of getting into the market or becoming a realtor is, to me, a blessing. I think that's amazing, and that's probably one of the reasons why my son's a realtor. My two daughters, even though they graduate from university, they're getting into real estate because they recognize that is a really good way to make your money grow, right? Passively, even, right? Like, it's not like you're investing in the real estate asset and you're watching your money grow, right? But in terms of how it's portrayed on TV and the media, so it's not exactly like that. Obviously, you want to have viewers, and so you want to add like good storylines, and even on like some of the shows. So I've been blessed to be able to be on Top $1 Million Agent and Reno Master, which is a new one that's coming, and Top $1 Million Agent is on Amazon Prime. And I mean, we have real buyers on the show, and they're real homes that are for sale, but there's storylines to this, right? So I would say to you that with the new people that are coming on board, it's very difficult for them to make it on their own unless they're real hustlers. They're really thirsty for like a sponge. They want to soak up all the knowledge they possibly can, that they're collaborating with someone more senior in the business, because it is really hard out there. It is really like cutthroat. So I would say that what you see on TV isn't always the way it really is. You do have to dress to impress. People say, well, just take me as it is. No, because you go to someone's house for a listing appointment, they only see what they see. I love what you're wearing, and that's amazing, and it looks amazing, right? But at some point, you can't, like somebody else that just thinks they could go and track pants, like, because there's people, like, I'm a top agent, I can go and track. No, you can't. You have to look well, you have to look presentable. You even if you're like that, even if you're like, you see your shirt is well ironed, it's crisp, like, people notice that. Your shoes are nice and white. You can't go with stained shoes. You know what I'm saying? You can't, right?
The skinny
like,
dirt stain
you can't go
on
with the holes in your socks. Like, there's fundamental things you gotta do, right? So to the young people, I think it's amazing that they're getting into the business. I get people calling me all the time if they want to shadow me, and I welcome that. I love that. I'm not one of those people that wants to hoard my knowledge. That's one of the reasons why I got into real estate, is so I could leverage all those years of all that top-notch training that I had from IBM, sales and marketing. It just doesn't happen that you become a VP at a young age.
Of course.
I was the first executive at the youngest age in IBM's history at the time. Like, that doesn't just happen. So I have a lot of knowledge, and I want to share that with people. And I also want to help purchasers and consumers and sellers get to a better place in their life too.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I love that.
Very cool.
And for those younger generations, those new realtors coming out, joining the industry, what are some costs associated? Because I feel like that's a part that's sort of left behind. Like, you even noticed too, joining the mortgage world, it was in that class that you saw some people's faces when the professor was telling us, there's this fee associated, that fee associated. Some people are like, oh, I'm not just going to go right in and make some money. So bring us through some of those costs that are associated with starting off as a realtor and then maintaining between licensing, the signage, marketing, all that.
So I could talk to you firsthand experience because of my kids, right? So my son became a real estate agent. So he got his university degree, then he became a real estate agent, and then he started shadowing, right? And I guess my feedback would be, and this is what I share with my daughters, shadow me now. Don't wait till you have your license, because as soon as you have your license, that's when the costs start. You get your license, you got to pay the Ontario Real Estate Association fee, the Toronto Real Estate Board fee, the Canadian Real Estate Association fee, your insurance, your desk fees with whatever brokerage. Then you got to negotiate a deal as to what percentage commission, what percentage are they going to take from every deal you do.
Yeah.
And you start paying the day you become a real estate agent. So what I encourage everyone that's becoming a realtor is shadow people that are really, really, really good in this business, that have a proven track record of success. Shadow them while you're getting your license.
Awesome.
Okay?
Great piece of
because
advice.
it costs you right away.
Yeah.
And every single month, you
Yeah.
might not even make a deal for 8 months.
Yeah.
Right? There's people that don't make, like I had somebody come to my office the other day, and beautiful person, so beautiful. I was like, wow, I would love you on, like, to be collaborating with me. You're amazing. You're a rock star. She's like, I haven't made any money in 2 years. Like, something's happening. So
Right.
what have you been doing? First of all, you have to be happy with the person you're collaborating with. If you go to work and your environment is not a good one, or even virtual, because everybody's working virtually. So
Yeah.
even if you have a home office, you need a little, like, pick me up every day. Hey,
Right.
how's it going? Today we're going to try to do this. This is the plan. And you got to have a business plan. No plan, no, I don't know how you're going to move forward. You need
Right.
to know what you're going to be working on every single day. And I know that sometimes is like, probably top agents might say, I don't even have a plan. But at some point, they might even have one. They might
Yeah.
even if they say they don't have one, they think they don't, but just targeting where you're going to focus on, who what type of homes you're going to target, the pillars. Are you looking at luxury, and your roster of people that you're going to focus on, your agents that are part of your network.
Yeah.
Like, there's some plan. You
There's
don't
still
just
some
go to
plan
your office and
associated.
sit there and,
Yeah.
hey, today everything's going to land on my lap. You got to get those leads in the funnel,
Yeah.
right?
No,
so
absolutely.
Yeah.
there's a game plan for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
So those starting licensing costs, what are those looking like in terms of numbers for those ones that are starting out?
I think you're at around $5,000
Okay.
now, just to start, and then you got your office fees. So
Yep.
if you join like a bigger brokerage, their office fees are going to be higher than some of the other brokerages are going to be maybe zero office fees, but then they'll take, I don't know, 5% of your deal.
Right.
Like, so if your commission is 2.5%, they'll take 5% as their cut, or 5% of the actual cost. So if it's like 10,000,
Right.
they're going to take 5% of that.
Of the 10,000,
But
okay.
what I would say to you is that don't necessarily look at that, because what's really important is, as a new agent, is the education, right? So if you're going to join a brokerage to save money, why not shadow somebody while you're learning, get a lot of knowledge, and then when you're ready to get your license, hook up with a brokerage that's reputable, that can bring you through an entire process of getting you ready to hit the streets.
Right.
Yeah.
And while you're still, collaborating with a top level agent, because, just learning from the books. And I know, because I learned from those books.
Yeah.
And those books, yes, you're learning from them, but at the end of the day, they're just books. They're not really teaching you how it really is in real
The
life.
theory
You know
aspect
what I mean?
doesn't match up to the practical experience.
Yeah.
Never. Yeah.
And you need that. You need
Yeah.
role playing. You need that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Unless
Not
you're
teaching you how to
comfortable-
talk to a person.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
sometimes people, like in real estate, and maybe in your business too,
Yeah.
like, nobody likes prospecting.
Right.
They all hate it.
Yeah.
Right? But sometimes there's people that are really, really, really good on the phones. And they just have to get their mindset straight in the morning.
Yeah.
And they should be on the phones,
Yeah.
because they're gifted. They're
Right.
gifted
Yeah.
people. They're really good on the phone.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to talk to them. Oh my God, you're so good. Hang on, phone me on my cell. I want to answer, and call
Yeah.
me, because
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
that good, right?
Yeah.
And some people are just amazing at door knocking. I would stand at my door and listen to you even though I'm busy.
Right.
So, everybody
yeah.
has some niche pillars that they're good at, and that's what you should focus on.
Right.
Embrace your
Right?
strengths.
Yeah.
What was your niche pillar?
If you put me in front of people, I'm really good with getting the information that I need to qualify them,
Yeah.
and then getting that business of, like, the confidence, building that relationship, and collaborating with them. So I'm really good when I'm in front of people or on the phone.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome. And you're really big on marketing, and you've really put yourself out there in a big way. And that's something that not a lot of realtors in your space and your age and your demographic have done as well as you have. So walk us through that and what it costs, and if it doesn't cost anything in regards to dollars wise, your time that you've had to allocate to get onto shows that you've gotten onto and get in the door that you've gotten in with the people that you have, right?
Yeah, so I would say to you that, like, for example, being on Top $1 Million Agent.
Yeah.
When I was on years ago, I'm going to be on another episode now, but when I was on years ago, I was filling the gap for somebody that couldn't do the show.
Okay.
And there is a cost associated to being on that show for a realtor. But what it led me to is to being asked as the host for Reno Master. So Reno Master is another show that we're filming, and they take a lot longer to film because you're taking a house from, it looks like we did one that was like a hoarder's house, and it was terrible. I'd never seen a hoarder's house in real life. And so you're taking this house, which actually should be like totally torn down, and reviving it and making it look so beautiful. So it's led me to opportunities like that without even knowing, and that helps to build your brand. I would say that it's really important to definitely build your brand, know what your brand is. It's like when you watch American Idol, the judges will say, I know exactly you're this, I know your profile right away, I know who you are, and then sometimes they'll say, you're really good at singing, but I don't really know who you are. So I think in real estate, what's really important, and I think it's even in so many industries, branding is critically important because people have to know, who is Nick Regina? What does he represent? What type of a persona is he? Is he authentic? Is he genuine? Is he full of crap? Right? And you want to always come across as somebody that's really genuine and authentic and cares about people. And unfortunately, in my industry, there's not, I can't say that there's 100% of the people are that way. Right? But the more you chase a check, or the more you chase the more you're going to repel it. You have to embrace it and be grateful for everything that comes your way. And the other day I was in a meeting, and this was something that will stay with me for life. They said to me, Laura, you're exactly the way you are on social media. So when I see you on social media, I feel like I know you, and now I'm finally meeting you, and you're exactly the way you are. And that's so important. And
authenticity.
I was so happy to... I was so happy. That's going to stay with me, because she probably didn't realize that what she said to me impacted me. But that did, because what she's saying to me is that I'm coming across as real. And that it's really me. I'm not like some gimmick. I'm not a hoax. And that's the message I would give in terms of branding, is really be you. Don't do anything that you're not comfortable with, like the magazines Dolce and City Life. It was my pleasure to collaborate with Michelle Zarillo and her team, and being here today. Like, I get asked to do these things, but I like you, Nick. Remember when you reached out to me, I said, I love what you're doing with the tournament. You're, raising money for a really great cause. So things that you're doing, for example, are important to me. And so I'm here. But if somebody just reaches out to me and says, hey, do you want to do this? Like, you're right. Time is everything. And by me doing that, it means I'm being taken away from doing something else.
Of course.
So I have to balance everything out. But, I'm happy to be here. And I think also that whatever we talk about is really analyzed by people that listen to us. So we want to tell the truth, right? Like, I told my daughters, my two daughters, when they told me, they came to spend some time in the summer with me, and then, oh my God, one was going to be a doctor, and all of a sudden now she's getting into real estate, and I'm like, I don't want you to be a real estate agent. It's not easy. But no matter what I say, even now, to try to convince them otherwise, they're getting into real estate. So, I always want to let people know that if you're willing to hustle, and you're consistent and diligent and focused with your efforts, no excuses. Oh, I had to sleep in 4 days straight. No, you can't. Not if you want to be at the top of your A game. You got to be at the office. You got to have a planning. You know what I mean?
So true.
You got to pull in the hours, and you got to be balanced, right? Don't be one of those people that work 7 days a week. No, if you don't have balance, how can you be successful? Right. You got to reset and recharge.
You don't show up. You don't show up, and you can't be the best version of yourself if you're not balanced, right? So you're burnt out. You experience burnout, and that doesn't have you being able to work efficiently and be a good leader, or bring that kind of energy into a room and have that posture that you need for other people to build their confidence off of. So I totally agree with that. The balance and understanding the wheel of life, and when it's career time, and when it's health and fitness, and when it's spirituality, and really being able to master your time management so so you're truly balanced. That's huge.
So with that being said, when it comes to time management, how many hours a week do you work? How many hours you put into the
That's a really
office and creating that balance?
Wow, that's a good question. First of all, I work a lot of hours.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I don't just work like on deals, because I find that I like to diversify,
Yeah.
and I like to build relationships with builders. I have my favorites. I spend time with them.
Yeah.
We like, they pick my brain. We strategize together. So it's not just deal making; it's building
Right.
That's very cool.
relationships,
Very
so
cool,
that
yeah.
you know, when they have projects, they feel confident to give me the exclusivity on the project,
Yeah.
and we make a lot of money for each other, right?
Absolutely.
So I mean, there's a trade-off, there's a handoff. So I do work a lot of hours, but I'm a very, very balanced person. And let me share with you
Very cool.
how I got that way. So when I was working at IBM, I don't know if it's like that now, but honestly, they have no life. Like IBMers, you don't have a life.
Right.
Because, and I take that back today, because it's probably more millennials, more virtual. But back in the day when I was working, no matter what, even if I was working wherever my office was, because if I'm based in New York, but I had to fly around the world, everybody would be working long hours, except when I'd go to Paris.
Right.
In Paris, they take this 3-hour break in the afternoon,
Yeah.
but then they work till like 8 o'clock at night. So I would say to you that when I became, the first time I actually had people working for me, the first thing I said was, you're not going to stay past 6 o'clock, okay? Hopefully you could even leave at 5, right? But you're not staying past 6 o'clock, because I had these bosses, and they were always men, okay? Because it was a technology industry, and they would work till so late. They had no life. And if you left early, which was like 6, 7 o'clock, they would frown upon it.
Right.
And that stuck with me. So when I became a real estate agent, obviously when you're first starting out, you're going to make a lot of sacrifices, okay? You have to
Yeah.
work around the clock, because you got to like build your brand. You got to demonstrate that you're committed to your people, your clients, your office. You're going to work around the clock because you're starting a business. It's like
Right.
anybody opening up a restaurant. You have no life, right? But after those 2 years of like, you know, getting over a lot of hurdles, feeling comfortable in that space, you got to start balancing out. Your family, to me, has to be first. Like, my kids are so important to me. That's my number one priority.
Yeah, yeah.
I will literally structure a deal and so forth around what I have to do with my kids.
Awesome.
It's
That's
really
awesome.
important to me, because that comes first. I would rather like give up a business venture, whatever I'm doing, if I can't like literally get around it, than give up something that's critically important to my kids.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to ever miss a piano recital or, you know, a track meet because I got to go and negotiate a deal.
Yeah,
if that
right.
person's not willing to wait 2 hours because of a commitment that I have that's super important, that doesn't happen very often, and I'll never get that moment back,
Yeah.
then that wasn't something that I needed to be a part of.
Right.
And another thing is also, in this business, respect and integrity are the top 2 things.
Right.
You have to have integrity and make sure that it doesn't waver, and you have to respect and be respected. If you're in a situation where you're feeling that this person's just not going to respect you, and it happened. I was on a listing appointment, and my son came with me, and the person that I was, I was on this listing appointment at his home. It was beautiful, this home. It was like, over $10 million house, and it was in the city. And the person was really disrespectful to their partner. And as soon as they did that in front of me, I don't know what happened to me. I just maintained my composure, but I got a little cloudy in my mind. I started thinking like, in my mind, I was like thinking like, how could I do business with this person?
Right.
How are they going to treat me if that's how they treat somebody that they love, right? So when I left, my son was like, Mom, what happened to you? Like, you don't want that business? It's a big listing. And I said, you know what? Look at how he treated that person time and time again throughout our entire appointment, swearing at that person in front. Like, you know how much it took for me not to leave?
Right.
I said, is that who you want to represent? And then what happens during the negotiations? How are they going to treat us during the negotiations? What's going to happen?
Right.
That's not a good situation.
Right.
So you have to respect and be respected. You have to treat people, like our parents would always say, treat everybody the way you want to be treated.
Absolutely.
It's so true.
Yeah,
if you
it
treat
is.
people like a jerk, they're going to treat you like a jerk and worse.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're
Yeah.
going to have a bad reputation.
Right. I really like what you brought up about the time management, because especially with the younger, new realtors, agents, anybody we talk to within the real estate world, it's always, put in the hours, take every client. And I like that you have that different approach where it's like, no, make that time for the family, have that respect for yourself, that integrity that, you don't want to be mistreated, and you want to be treated right. And also you want to still have that work-life balance. So I think that's a really good advice he provided for those new realtors and anyone looking to join the real estate market, for sure. And how's it look for, maintaining that relationship with the client? So once you have, that sales completed, what's that repeat business look like? Is there someone else from your team that's contacting them or reaching out to them, or is it always yourself that's always in front of that client?
That's a really great question. And so for me, fostering relationships with my clients, I really like my clients. I love some of them. Some of them are amazing. They're so important to me, and we're so different. So it doesn't matter about what they do or their likes or dislikes. They're just good human beings. And actually, that's one thing I feel really blessed to attract amazing people. And they're at all different levels. Some are first-time buyers. Some of them have very, very little money. Some of them have a lot of wealth. So I would say to you that I text a lot. I'm a big texter. I'm always texting. Hey, I was just thinking of you. I just drove by this place and it has your name. Here's a picture. And, so I like that. So I personally stay in touch with a lot of people.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And sometimes they're so happy. They'll be like, I want to have you over for dinner. That I'm very careful as to like how I cross that line.
Right. How close you get.
Yeah. But sometimes, I am touched by some people too. There was a couple that their home doesn't expire. They actually were dealing with a family member, and it didn't work out so well. And that's a tough situation when you're called after somebody's listing is canceled. They sit on the market, and a month later you get a call, and can you come and sell my house? I'm in really disarray. So you got to like tread fine lines, because A, they were listed with a family member and you happen to know them. B, they're in a disgruntled situation because now they are like so many months past that they're on the market, they're sad, and now you're taking on this listing, so there's a lot of pressure. You got to make sure that your media company is top notch, your staging is top notch.
Right.
You're having all that staging stuff removed from that other listing, and so everything has to be so perfect. And when you're able to achieve their goals in a week, when it was on the market for months, they become your friend, because they feel like it's like, wow, you just changed my life. And that's one thing that I get a lot. You just changed my life. You just changed my life. You just changed and that's amazing, because I don't think they realize that they've changed my life. Right? That experience that I had with that little child that was there when we were in multiple offers, and they're like all clinging to me. Can you do it, Laura? You can do it. And there's 30 other offers. And then I make the call and they got the house. Like, that's life-changing for them. But that's like, for me, it has nothing to do about money. It's about the fact that I was able to put them in this better place and help them meet and exceed their expectations. So so I want to stay in touch with them.
Right.
Hey, how's that backyard? How's that playground? Yeah.
That's
awesome.
Very cool. Awesome. So maintaining relationships is
important.
big with you.
Really big, because if you're not maintaining relationships, you're not going to get referral business. So just from a business standpoint, you're not going to get any repeat business, and you're just going to become a transactional based person. Why do you want to be a transactional based person? You're not growing a business then. Right? You have to nurture your people, nurture your leads. Then they'll refer you to a neighbor. Hey, I'm thinking of selling my house. Oh my gosh, I got this real estate agent. She's a rock star. Let me call her for you.
This stands out to me in a big way, and I'm always very interested in hearing other entrepreneurs' take on it. But family business, your daughter getting into it most recently, being here, what's going on? We're going to do a drop with you at the end of it. And your sons, you were saying as well. What does that look like in regards to you working with your kids and being a mother, but also being a leader for them in the business? Wow. How do you separate the both of them? And walk me through it, like what your approach is and your take is on it.
So first of all, that is such a good question. It's a hard question, and I'm going to be so honest, okay? Brutally honest for everybody. It's not easy, okay? And everybody's family dynamics are different, right? So when my son graduated, got his degree from university, he knew he was going to be in real estate. Like my daughters, they didn't know. right? Now they're studying real estate. But let's just start with my son. So he knew he was going to be in real estate. He was studying. And I would always say, come and shadow me, spend time with me. But he said, when I'm ready, when I graduate, that's when I'm going to come. Okay, what are you going to do? Shoot the person?
Yeah.
No, they're going to come when they're ready. Then, their family brand is all Remax, and I'm with Royal LePage, right? So he had to make that decision, and he joined Royal LePage with me. Now, at the beginning, he said, I want to try to do this on my own. So I'm going to try to break into the commercial instead of residential. And he was guided towards that. Like, he had a coach, and the coach said, hey, why don't you try commercial? It'll be totally different than what your family does. And by the way, the office is down in the city in Toronto, right? Meanwhile, we have offices in Woodbridge right now, right? We work everywhere, right? Because remember, we're relationship based, so we'll sell Hamilton, Oshawa, Muskoka, like it doesn't matter where, as long as it's not 2 hours away. So anyways, the point is that he was working in the city, and he wasn't making any money, and he was really down, really down. So then what happened was, I said, can you call in the guy that you're working with? This was after about a year. I would always check in. Like his office was next to mine, but he'd always be down in the city and driving everywhere. And I'd always ask, how are you doing? How are you doing? And I started to see, like, at first it was like this, then you go like this, then your shoulders are down until, what, Michael, call the guy that you're working with and come and see me. I want to talk to you guys. So he says, my mom. And he's like, who's your mom? I didn't know she was a real estate agent. Well, she has a different last name than me. It's Laura Companion. That's your mom? Oh my God, I want to talk to her. Yeah, let's go. So I said, how do you guys do your business? Like, take me through that. He says, this is how I do it. And I said, that's why you're not making any money. You can't run a business that way. It's a losing proposition, because that buyer isn't going to find any value in what you're giving, because you're just being a chauffeur, and they're going to go direct to the listing agent after. So there were so many tips and ideas that I gave. Then I called my broker and I said, look, you know what? I'd really like my son to come and collaborate with me. He'll be his own entity, and I'm my own entity. We're not a team, but we'll collaborate. So what that means is, here's an example. So I had 26 luxury homes in Kleinburg that I just sold just now. This just happened. Beautiful, like, estates. And he helped me on the project. So he brought in some of his clients, he did deals, he made money on it, and he was excellent prospecting, building relationships. The point that I'm trying to say is I had to pull him in and then bring him to the realization that sometimes, it's okay to work with family and start learning with family. Because who's going to have your back if it isn't your family? Like, I'm not going to let him fall. Right?
Yeah, of course.
He may have been misguided for that year and a half, but he had a record year in 2021 for someone so young. He had a record year, right? And built a database of people and did a lot of deals. And I attribute to that to still being a hustler, being highly motivated, and being coachable with me. And that's hard to do with kids. Now, my daughters are very different. They're very coachable. Super coachable. There's no butting heads. They basically come to my office, they listen. I'm on the phone all day long. And if I'm out at an appointment, like, Alexandra's here today. So they're learning a lot before they even get their license. So that is a big takeaway for today to all the viewers that are watching. Is shadow people while you're getting your license. Don't wait, because then you're going to be sitting, not making any money, and then you're going to get discouraged.
And big shout out to the up and coming realtor entering into the family business. You got one of the coolest mentors and leaders here that is an awesome backbone, and I'm sure you're going to have lots and lots of success.
Can we ask Alexandra a question?
Come on. Let's go.
Alexandra, come on. Don't be shy.
We're going to let Mom ask you a question. What's that one question that you've wanted to ask her that you want everyone to hear about, Mom? Come sit in the hot seat. Oh my God. Come sit in the hot seat. Let's go.
My heart's in fear.
She comes to meetings with me and she's wonderful. So Alexandra, why in the heck did you not want to get into medicine after you graduated, and you want to become in real estate? And do you feel that I overshadow you in any way?
Well, to start, hello. I don't feel you overshadow me. It was a hard decision for me not to want to pursue medicine. I was really set on dentistry for a very, very, very long time until recently. And my mom started real estate only 5.5 years ago. And seeing what she could do in 5.5 years when she started with nothing, to me, I thought, today in this day and age, it's so hard. And I honestly think, how are millennials going to be able to afford a home? And just the route that I was going on, I was just thinking like, I love school. I'm going to study and I'm going to get my doctor of dental surgery. And then I'm going to be in debt because I was in school all these years. And I could have put that money for a down payment on a house.
Right.
And what I would have appreciated in that time, I would have been able to grow more. So I was thinking, if she could start with nothing and get to the point that she's at now, she's a published author, she's been on 2 TV shows, not that I have the same aspirations, but if she could be as successful as she is in only 5.5 years, if I learned from her and I'm only 21 years old, what could I be if she's my mentor? And my mom is my mentor. She inspires me every day. She's the hardest working person I know. She's so strong. And
Anybody have a tissue?
and yeah, this is the reason why I'm getting into it, because of her. And you know what? Like, I've been in situations where people have told me, like, that are older, that I meet, and they'll be like, you know what, I missed the time to invest in the market's crazy. And I went home to my mom one day after like talking to someone, and I was like, I really want to help people who feel like they can't afford a home. And obviously that one day that'll be for me. And you know what, it's really inspiring seeing the way she's changed people's lives and people's reactions to how she's made an impact. Because for people, their home is their biggest asset. And selling or buying a home is a really big change, and a realtor can make a huge transition, and a huge help in making that transition easier for a lot of people. So I don't feel like I'm in your shadow, because I'm just starting out and I'm really inspired and I have a lot to learn. I have a lot to grow. And I don't feel I'm like left behind your shadow. I'm not left in the dark, because there's so much energy and there's so much excitement, and I'm really excited for like this career venture.
And people respect you when you come to meetings. They ask you questions.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You're really you're really well spoken.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
That's because I throw her into the wolves all the time.
That's the best way to learn.
She threw me into a meeting with these developers, and they were actually interacting with me, and I was so surprised, because these people are like, oh my God.
I love them. They're so nice.
And they were asking me questions, and I was like, I'm just here to observe, learn, and like soak in all the information. And they were like actually interacting and engaging with me, and I was like, wow. And
That's awesome.
people respect you, and it's really interesting.
Respect, see?
Yeah.
Respect and respect others, and respect, yeah.
Oh,
Excellent.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And right before we close out, just let us know where everybody could find you guys.
So you could find me on Instagram. I'm Laura Campagni, COMPAGNI. Check out my website, lauracampagni.com. That's it, Royal LePage. Come and visit me. I'm on Woodbridge Avenue. I have an office right across from the big cannoli.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming out today. Really appreciate it. It's great having you as well. I look forward to seeing you join the real estate market and taking over. And thank you to everyone for tuning into this week's episode. Be sure to like, follow, and share, and we'll see you next week.
Next on What Would It Cost? So tell us a little bit about that vibrant energy that you bring through a screen and your social media strategy, and
it's called high blood pressure.
High blood pressure. Yeah. And how that's really helped you kick some serious butt.
My background is I'm half Latina, half Italian. The Latina side kind of taught me like you have to have fun in life, and I do find that like when I feel good, when I like the people I'm working with, and you know what I mean? Like when you have that vibe, like you feel better, you do better work. Like they say that you like work like 70% of your life, or like something like that. Like you spend 70% of your like life actually working. So if you're not having fun 70% of the time, like I don't know what to tell you, bro.